Hi, NARC troopers. Tonight I'm coming to you to tell you something about self-care. Um, I had COVID 2 months ago, and it was a pretty bad case. I was really sick, and so in the past 2 months, I had it in January of 2022. So when I recovered, I didn't really recover all the way. And I just think there's so much that we don't know about it. It's easy to downplay it and act like it's not a big deal because you don't have any immediate side effects, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot of things they don't know about it and they're not telling you about it, like the whole way that it reduces the amount of gray matter in your amygdala and hippocampus. That affects memory and emotional regulation. And we already have trouble with that. People recovering from trauma and PTSD have trouble with memory and have trouble with emotional regulation, for sure. And so it sort of compounds the problem and exacerbates it. I'm guessing that many of you have had COVID. It's, by this time, 2 years into it, it seems pretty, goes without saying that probably a lot of us have had it. But, there are lingering effects and there are things that keep going. So for me, I had like a itchy skin condition that followed COVID. I had my joints in my ankles, knees, shoulders, neck, back, all my bones in my body kind of felt like I'd been in a car wreck. And I have good days and bad days. Some days it really hurts. Some days it doesn't. But it's definitely, according to doctors, it's a COVID complication that a lot of people have with the joint pain and swelling. And they even get like things like arthritic conditions that are, 20-year-olds that have never had anything like that before. Has nothing to do with age. It has to do with COVID. So we have challenges right now to our health. And I think it's super important that we keep in mind kind of like what do we need to do to take care of ourselves so that our bodies heal as well as our minds. When you're recovering from abuse, from a relationship with a narcissist or psychopath or sociopath perhaps, it's a long, tedious and challenging experience, to say the least. Those of you that are in it know that. Those of you that are just beginning, you need to pace yourself and prepare for things to take a little while. And of course, it's a miserable experience. I can say these last 3 years almost, it'll be 3 years in June, have been the worst 3 years of my life, hands down. And I've had horrible things happen to me before this, and nothing compares to this. It's worse than pretty much anything I've ever encountered because it's so complex. And I want to remind you about peptide addiction, neurochemical dysregulation in the brain with your cortisol and serotonin and dopamine and, all of that stuff. And there's all kinds of therapies to treat that. They're even exploring hallucinogens now, like MDMA, ketamine, things like that are controlled substances that under therapeutic conditions are supposed to alleviate PTSD and trauma-related things that you might be experiencing, even like depression and sleep disorders and anxiety. So there's a lot of treatment that's out there, and you just kind of have to try things and see what works for you. Sometimes when I'm feeling really awful and like I need to have something that is, going to be more aggressive, I think about maybe I'm going to go take some ayahuasca. I think I'm saying that right. And have that be a transformative experience for me. So I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things available. But I want to remind you, it's work. It's not going to happen naturally. Your recovery has to be something that is important to you. It has to be something that you choose to actively participate in and commit to. And so I'm confident that we're going to be able to do this. It's just going to take a little while, and we have to try to find the tools to help us with it. It's important to be healthy. You have disruption on a cellular level. Trauma is stored in the body, in the cells. It's epigenetic, it's generational, it's passed on within families. And so if you want to be free of that, you need to just make the command decision. You're going to break the cycle. You're not going to let it continue. And then you go about doing the work. That is a long and complicated process that is not the topic of today's video. I just want to tell you that during COVID times, and regardless of what you may think or what they may tell you, or rather not tell you, they don't tell you things about how bad this is and how long-lasting it can be and how impactful it is on your body, because they need you to keep working to keep the economy going and keep spending and going and doing to keep everything going. I don't think it's going to go that's a bad plan. I think it's a bad plan. So it's kind of a warning. I think we're in for some not great times, and that could be because of war. That could be because of climate change. It could be because of all the things that are going to happen because of climate change, food insecurities, and just all kinds of things. And then I want to come back to the COVID, to the pandemic. The SARS-CoV-2 virus is not done with us. It mutates, and it's continuing to do that and surging. And I know everybody's just so over it. Over 2 years now. It's like everybody wants to ditch the mask and like, oh my gosh, one more booster shot? No, thank you. And everybody's got this attitude like we're just going to pretend it's over and live our lives. You really can't do that because, that could kill people. It could hurt people that vulnerable people that you go out there and live your best life. You're going to take it home and harm somebody, maybe in your own immediate family. So, we have to have some awareness of the vulnerable people among us and protect them by acting responsibly and acknowledging that by being reckless that we could harm them. And we have to acknowledge that we are fragile because we're in recovery. We've been through something absolutely horrific. Many of us are still going through something absolutely horrific. What the narcissist did, perhaps unintentionally, perhaps unconsciously, who knows how much agency or control or awareness that they have over what they do. There's some dispute there about whether they choose to do what they do to you or whether it's just an innate predatory knee-jerk response to having a false self and all the many complicated layers of that onion that you can peel back and say, well, why are they a narcissist? How did this happen to them? What made them so hollow and dead inside? And by the time they're done with you, you're feeling pretty dead inside yourself. It's like, I heard Sam Vaknin today say, yes, I love him. You may not like him. Some people don't, but I think he's absolutely brilliant when it comes to the topic of narcissism. Everything he says, I won't say everything, but probably 98% of what he says with his research and in his lectures rings true for not just me, but for everyone I've met and spoken to in the last 3 years, all of my clients that I do sessions with, that I'm helping them on their recovery journey, people in support groups I've met. Everything he says, I'm seeing it. actually in reality, in real time, in real life with real people. So I know it's true. And he was saying today that after you have been in these relationships, that you start out at the codependent person, which is usually, not always, but I'm going to say usually, the person that stays with the narcissist. Because healthy, normal people look at them and say, I think there's something wrong with you, and you're violating my boundaries, and you're kind of creepy, and there's all these red flags, so I'm out. I'm going to bounce. See ya. And that's what normal people do. Neurotypicals. We're not that. We're not that. We have another mission. We have other issues, and so we stay. And I say we because I have that whole attachment, abandonment, dependent disorder. There's even an actual disorder called dependent personality disorder, which is beyond and a little bit different from just your generic codependency. You should look that up and read about it. But he said that in these relationships with the codependent and the narcissist, in the beginning, the narcissist is acting in a codependent way. They merge, they fuse, they love bomb, they, do those kind of things. And in the beginning, the person who is actually the person with a dependent personality disorder is more narcissistic. But by the time it's over, they're like switching roles and all this stuff is happening. It's crazy. I believe it. I feel more like I could be like a narcissist now than ever, because it's like he said something chilling that really resonated with me. He said, when you look in the mirror after a period of time of narcissistic abuse with these people, when you look in the mirror, you don't see yourself because you have been co-opted, you've been disintegrated by the experience. Disintegrated is the best word I can think of to explain it. And because you have been disintegrated, you don't see yourself. You see the narcissist looking back at you. It's his face. It's his expressions, his eyes, his little smile, his little smirk, the voice in your head, your identity, your awareness, that voice that speaks to you, it's not yours. Because you no longer really have an identity. He took it. The narcissist becomes you. And you take on all of those narcissistic qualities. And sort of, it's like the narcissist gives you their dead inner self, their dead child, their dead soul, their emptiness, their howling wilderness. They give that to you, and in exchange, they take you. They become you. Think about that. I know that happened with me. My ex-husband, when he left after 15 years, he had my vocabulary. He had my dreams of moving to the West Coast and living by the ocean. He went and he did that. That was my dream, but he did it right after he left, within months. I could just go on and on. Personality traits, character traits, the way that the things that he took from me, just so many things, from putting lip emollients on all the time, It's like I taught him that. It's like he took that. That's just something tiny, but there's a million of those things, little micro hijacking things that happened in the relationship over 15 years, so that by the time he left, he was more like I was in the beginning, and I was more like him. Kind of a role reversal switch. So you have to reclaim yourself and invent a new one if there's not enough left. If it's all disintegrated and torpedoed and annihilated, then you have to dig around and find some ashes and embers and fan the flames and get it to going and create something. You have, assuming that you are not really a narcissist with NPD, then you have what you need on the inside to be able to combat this, to be able to recover and be whole again, to be able to reclaim your life in some way. You may have to invent it and create it from scratch. You may be able to salvage and recover some of the pieces. I don't know, but it can be done. I do know that. The narcissist with NPD cannot do that. They become you and they merge and fuse with you so they can separate from you, so that they can achieve that childhood development stage that they never got to go through with their own mother because something was really screwed up there. So they reenact all of that dynamic with you, and when they leave, they think, okay, I'm now a real boy. I'm not wooden. I'm not hollow. I'm a real boy now. I'm a real man now. I'm a real person now. I'm an individual. I have separated from that mother figure because they have parentified you. And actually, you have parentified them. The weird and creepy thing is that y'all both you and your narcissist, mothered and parented one another. Not just one of you, both of you did that during the relationship. And so when they leave, they think, okay, I've separated, so now I'm an individual and I'm all healed and everything's good. But they can't, because their core is not constellated. It is not ordered. It is not, it's not presence. The narcissist is represented or signified, or how do I want to say it? Those aren't the words I need. The narcissist is an absence. Yeah, they're a ghost. They're an absence of being. So even if they have this temporary thing that they think they've achieved by trying to recreate this dynamic and make it happen for themselves so that they can just come out of it feeling elated that now they're finally free and whole and happily ever after, it doesn't last because they don't have the core to fully make that happen, for lack of better words, right? They don't have the internal mechanisms. They don't have, they wanted to please their mother. Mom was impaired in some way, right? And so they had to kill that part of themselves that the mom was not loving, not there for, not, maybe always criticizing or shaming or whatever, the sick dynamic was happening there. They killed that part of themselves off so they can say, look, Mom, now I'm lovable, I'm adorable, I'm so perfect and cute and fantastic, and because I killed the part of me that you didn't like and didn't approve of, I killed him, and now look at me, I'm all the things, I've got the whole song and dance, and I'm all the things, now you can love me. There's something really tragic about that, isn't it? It's hard to hate them for what they did, even though they pretty much destroyed you, for lack of better ways to say it. It's hard to hate them knowing what they've done and why they did it and why they can't do anything else but that for the rest of their life. They repeat the cycle of idealization of some external object, then they internalize it, snapshot it to make it perfect so that they don't see any flaws, Then time goes along, they begin to devalue it, pick at it, find fault with it, and then they discard it. They try to do the separation thing to get the individuation thing. It doesn't work, and so they have to do it again and again and again. You don't have to do that. You can take care of yourself. Back to the self-care, back to this is challenging because of COVID. It's not like you just have to do self-care. You have to do self-care, plus you have to be aware of what can happen to you with COVID and the long-term effects of COVID and how to protect yourself from that and how to deal with it if you get those things. And just, now it's even more complicated. Thank you, pandemic. Like it wasn't hard enough to begin with, right? So we're doubly challenged here to get healthy. This is what tonight's topic is. We got to get healthy. And it's no easy task, but we can do it. We have the inner workings. We have that core. We have an identity that is constellated and solid, that can be our anchor and our navigational device through life. We have that. We can feel love and intimacy. We can give it and we can receive it. We experience guilt when we do bad things that we shouldn't do and we hurt other people. We feel bad for hurting them. We have some moral compass, I would hope. If you don't have one, you need one. You need to get one. We have a lot of things that person who hurt you, they don't have. And they're never going to have it. No matter how many times they repeat this cycle, no matter how many times they lie to themselves and say they are godlike and perfect and entitled and grandiose, and they are magnificent, all-powerful masters of the universe. They're not. They're empty, hollow, dead inside, broken people that are never going to be okay. There's no way to restore what they have lost. Their humanity, their soul. But we can. So that's my message for today. Let's work on our health in every way we can. Physical, mental, emotional, pandemic health, recovery health, inner child health, just all of it. There's so many parts of the overall holistic health picture. And there's just so many things available to you to try to see if you can get it fixed. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. And I hope that helps you or maybe gives you something to think about you haven't thought about before. I am tired. I'm looking really haggard. I'm seeing myself. I got bags under my eyes. And I'm telling you, this COVID is really been hard for me to get over, and I'm feeling it. Hopefully I'll feel better and stronger as time goes on. I feel like I am, I'm recovering. It's just taking a really long time. So let's hang in there, guys. Let's work on our health. Keep going in the right direction, one step after another. You may not be moving as quickly as you would like. That sucks, but you'll get there. You just have to keep going. You just have to keep going. Okay. Much love. Bye.